Hello, my name is Madeline McDuffie, and I will be talking to you about the literacy strategy word maps. My lesson will be set up specifically for a second grade art classroom. Our lesson topic will be ceramics and clay. We are learning where clay comes from, how it is used, and different stages it has. For my standard, I will be using the one that is Respond 7A, specifically for the grade level 2, and it is a Missouri State Standard. The standard reads, perceive and describe aesthetic characteristics of one's natural world and constructed environment. So to talk more about our literacy strategy, word maps, it is a strategy that is used when new words are introduced to students. We want our students to become more independent with their vocabulary learning, and students will be able to associate a more detailed definition of the content area word when using a word map. The goal is for students to go through the questioning process when learning new vocabulary words. This strategy fits into the beginning of a lesson as a diagnostic assessment. And I'm doing this at the beginning because I want to see what my students can piece together about these words associated with ceramics and clay before I start to teach them how to use clay and the processes of clay. The students will be able to benefit from this instruction because they will have a more detailed understanding of clay before they're learning about the methods of using it. My students will also be able to understand these vocabulary words that I am talking about when I'm giving them the demonstration on building and creating art with clay, versus me doing the demonstration and the students having to stop me to ask what the words mean. Instead, they will already know what these words mean during the demonstration, and we can just keep moving on during the lesson. So in the classroom, I will also have the opportunity for my students to read a book or two about clay and ceramics. When they are reading it, or after they are reading it, they can write down words that they don't understand when reading the text. They can then create individual word maps based on the word that they did not understand. They will use the text in the book to help describe that word for themselves. And then after they're done with their individual word map, they will get together with other students to see what those students chose as their words that they didn't understand and see if they believe that the word means the same thing that they thought it means. I will be, throughout it, I will be encouraging the students to talk about everything that they think the word means to get a greater understanding of what they believe that it means. So after I had them get in groups, I can ask the students to define the word based off of the word map activity. So after they've gone through the whole activity, I will say, how do you define this word? After that, they will get into groups and talk about their definitions that they came up with and decide whether or not they included all of the necessary information in their definitions. And then once everyone has gone through their definitions, they will get them back and keep them for later use when they need the information about those words. If there are other words that the students don't understand in the text, I will ask them to either make a list of those words and we can talk about them, or at the end of class they can try to do their own word maps or take them home and do them outside of class. But then students can also use this strategy in other classes or other forms of reading when they see fit. So to talk about the diagram for the word map, the first place that you're going to start is right here in the center, and that's where you put the word that you don't understand. So our word that we're going to be talking about is greenware. Then after you started here, you will move up to this top box. You'll follow this arrow and go up here. And your question that you're answering in this box is, what is it? So the question would be, what is greenware? I would say that greenware is unfired clay. Okay, after you have answered what is greenware, greenware is unfired clay, we will then answer what are some examples of greenware. So for this, I'm going to say that this would be I'm going to say this last one. I'm going to go over here and say that an example would be the bone dry stage. Another example of greenware would be the leather hard. And the moldable stage. Next, after you answer these examples, you will answer, what is it like? Greenware is like moldable. It is breakable when in the bone dry stage. And greenware is reusable. Okay, so Gabriella, what word from the reading did you not understand?
I had difficulty understanding clay.
Okay, so we're gonna put clay here in the center because that's the word that you didn't understand.
Okay.
So, from the reading, I want you to answer the question, what is it? So, what do you think clay is?
Mud.
Yes. So, clay is mud. What are some examples of clay that you read? Think about types of clay.
Types of clay. Stoneware.
Okay, yeah. So that's one example. Can you think of at least one more example?
Earthenware.
Earthenware. And one more?
Ceramics.
I would say let's think of a different one.
A different one.
So
Okay.
think about when the text talked about a white type of clay, what would you call that?
Porcelain.
Perfect. So those are our 3 examples of clay. Now we're going to move on and I'm going to ask you to answer, what is it like? So what is clay like?
It's moldable.
Correct.
It's soft.
Yes. And what else is clay like?
It's cold.
Yeah, clay can be very cold sometimes. So, this example of the word map model on the top here was done independently by the student. I will have done this whole assignment as a standalone assignment after the student has read the book about clay. I'm going to go through what they put independently, and then I will go through what they put once they got together with their groups. So the vocabulary word that this student talked about was slip and score. They said that it is how you put clay together. And the examples they put would be a handle on a mug, 2 coils, 2 slabs, and that slipping and scoring is like slippery, it is wet, and it is like clay, but it looks like they couldn't come up with another word for what slip and score is like. If we move down to look and see what they did as a group, the student still have slip and score here as their vocabulary word. They have said that it is how you put 2 pieces of clay together, not just how you put clay together. And the examples they gave are the same, which is a handle on a mug 2 coils, and 2 slabs. It looks like they still said that slipping and scoring is slippery, it is wet, it is clay, and it is soft. So after looking at this example of what they put, I want to go ahead and say that right here, where they just put clay, is right because slipping and scoring is done with clay, but I wanted them to be more specific and say that the clay is watered down. So I want them to say watered down clay. Or they can say mixed with water, as in adding that on. So it would be clay mixed with water. So to go back, I want to say that the independent study was their diagnostic assessment. Then I am going to collect what they did as a group for the diagnostic assessment to see what their peers helped them with. I'm only going to take this as a completion or participation grade because I wanted them to learn more about this vocabulary word while reading through the textbook. And I don't know, just pause it there. Okay. So I am also going to point out here that there are some other content-specific vocabulary that they read from the book. That would be slabs and coils. Those are 2 other vocabulary words that the student may understand or may not understand. So I might ask them, I might put down here, do you know what a coil is? And I would say also, do you know what a slab is? I could either bring the student up to me and we can have this discussion and I can ask them if they know what a coil and a slab are. I can, and if they don't, whenever I ask them, I will say, well, can you make me a word map specific to the word coil? Or can you make me a word map specific to the word slab? Open your book and see if you can find out any more detailed information about these two words. Yeah. So the student did not know what coil or slab meant, so they did separate word maps with those words. Let's talk about the word coil first. So the student did know that coils are rolled up clay. They know that coils can be put into spirals, lines, and zigzags. There are more different ways that they can use coils, but they have some great examples there. They have said that coils can be long, coils are short, they are thin, and they put that coils are wet. I would mark here, and I would say that coils do not have to be wet. I would actually have continued the pattern that they have here and maybe said that coils can be thick, coils, if they were, I would maybe explain to the student a little more or write on their paper that if coils are wet, they would either break apart or would not be very easy to use. Moving on to the next word, they did one with slab. They have said that it is rolled out clay, which is almost right. Clay slabs are rolled out with a slab roller, so I would say rolled out clay with a slab roller. Or I would say that they could have put that it is flattened out clay. For examples, all they have put is walls. I would say to look in, I would say, or just say check your textbook. As for what is it like, so what are slabs like? Slabs are flat. They can be hard. I would mark here that they are moldable, not hard. But slabs can be thin or thick. They can be, whatever sense of depth that they want them to be. So I would say that I have a decent understanding of whether or not they understand the word slab and coil, but I am satisfied with the fact that I asked the student to do word maps for those words so that I know whether they understood them or not.